After 7 years with Marcus, he told me he was bored and turned to a younger, more delicate girl. This time, I didn't make a scene. I threw away my ring and cut up the new wedding dress I'd just bought. Late that night, I boarded a plane and left Metropolis. His friends started betting on how long it would take for me to crawl back, begging for reconciliation. Marcus smiled coldly, "Give it 3 days, and she'll come back crying, begging me to take her back." But 3 days turned into another 3, and I remained out of contact. Marcus finally couldn't sit still. For the first time, he initiated a call to my number. "Grace, you've made your point. Come back now." From the other end of the line, I heard a man's low chuckle. "Mr. Marcus, you can't delay when charming a girl. Otherwise, someone else might snatch her up halfway." Marcus's eyes were bloodshot, and he gritted his teeth. "Put on the phone." Ethan leaned down and kissed me. "She can't answer, she's still out cold. I need to kiss her awake first." It was the 7th year I was with Marcus. I had secretly bought a wedding dress, gathering the courage to propose to him. But as luck would have it, I arrived a few minutes late to a gathering that day, just in time to hear him chatting with his friends. "You mean Grace? I'm long bored of her." Marcus lit a cigarette, a casual smile on his face. 7 years, wouldn't you be bored?" The others laughed along. "You've got a point. 7 years, even a goddess would lose her appeal. But really is beautiful. And her figure is perfect." Last time, at Marcus's birthday, she wore a dazzling dress, and every man there couldn't take his eyes off her. "Honestly, Marcus, you used to be so infatuated with her. Are you really willing to let her go now?" Marcus's voice was indifferent. "When have I ever lied? Then, if I pursued Grace, you wouldn't mind, right?" "Go for it." Marcus exhaled a smoke ring nonchalantly. "As long as you two don't find it awkward." "Seriously? Why? You're not ashamed to take his sloppy seconds?" Another burst of laughter. I didn't enter the private room that night. I found an excuse, said I had a headache, and went home early. Marcus hung up the phone without asking a single follow-up question. The decision to break up was likely made completely that night. Within 2 days, rumors started spreading wildly in their social circle. Marcus was pursuing a sophomore girl from the Performing Arts Academy, young, delicate, and innocent. His methods for pursuing someone were always astonishingly grand. Just like when he pursued me years ago, he'd want to announce it to the world, lavishing houses, cars, and jewelry as he pleased. That young girl had never seen such a display and was completely smitten within days. At a gathering arranged by friends, Marcus brought her along directly. As they walked in, everyone fell silent. A few girls, who were still on good terms with me, looked at me with some concern. I smiled. "Why is everyone so quiet? What are you looking at me for?" Marcus put an arm around the girl and sat down, then looked directly at me. "Grace, today's a good opportunity, so I'll just say it. All right, go ahead. These years of on again, off again have been meaningless. The feelings faded long ago." I clenched my hand tightly, the ring on my middle finger digging deep into my skin, yet I felt no pain. "Chloe is young, innocent, and I truly like her. I don't want to wrong her." Marcus stroked the girl's hair. "I need to give her a proper status." I nodded slightly. "Yes, I understand. We can still be friends in the future. If you have any difficulties, you can always find me. As long as you're in Metropolis, I'll still take care of your affairs as usual." "No, thank you." I chuckled softly and stood up. "Since we've broken up, let's make it clear. Wouldn't want her to misunderstand." Marcus raised an eyebrow in slight surprise. After a moment, he said, "That's fair. Then you all enjoy your gathering. I'll head back now. Should the driver take you?" "No need, I'll just call a ride-sharing app." As I walked out of the private room, closing the door behind me, I heard someone ask, "How long do you think Grace will hold out this time?" 2 days? She seems genuinely angry this time. "I'll bet a week." Marcus glanced at the door, which hadn't fully closed, and smiled coldly. "Give it 3 days, and she'll come back crying. It's always been this way for so many years. I'm tired of seeing it." "True, how could Grace ever leave you? Everyone knows how madly she loves you." I laughed to myself, a touch of self-mockery, and clutched my clutch purse, hurrying towards the elevator. Back at my apartment, I went to the corner of my walk-in closet and took out the wedding dress. I had waited half a year for it to arrive, but unfortunately, I'd never have a chance to wear it. The dress was custom-made and couldn't be returned. So, I found a pair of scissors and cut it up. After all, leaving it there would just be an eyesore for Marcus. When I finally left, I took off my ring and placed it on the coffee table. I didn't take many things, only my personal belongings. Everything else, I left behind. After a moment's thought, I left Marcus a note, telling him he could dispose of the apartment and everything in it as he pleased, without asking me. I booked a flight for early morning, flying to Bay City. My best friend had married and moved there last year, so it was a good place to go and clear my head. My best friend invited me shopping and for afternoon tea. In the evening, there was a small gathering with old classmates and friends. After a few rounds of drinks, someone else pushed the door open. Several female classmates' eyes lit up immediately. Ethan? You're a rare sight. Yes, Mr. Ethan, why have you graced us with your presence tonight? I was just discussing something next door. Heard old friends were gathering, so I came to join the fun. As spoke, his gaze read somewhere for a moment before slowly moving on. My best friend secretly nudged me. Grace, Ethan is here for you, isn't he? My eyes, hazy from drink, looked at the man. He was even taller than Marcus, wearing a black overcoat with a matching business suit underneath. His features were strikingly handsome, his physique well-built, and his legs incredibly long. I squinted at him for a moment before looking away and shaking my head. No way, we haven't been in touch for years. But my best friend ignored me and called out to Ethan, Mr. Ethan, would you mind helping me take Grace home later? We've all been drinking, and I don't feel comfortable letting her take a ride-sharing app alone. I looked up at Ethan, startled. Ethan's gaze also passed over the others and landed on my face. After about 2 seconds, I saw him nod. All right. Thanks a lot, Mr. Ethan. My best friend smiled and sat back down, leaning close to my ear to whisper, Grace, sleeping with one man for 7 years really isn't a good deal. If can be fickle and philander, why can't you start a new chapter? Besides, someone as exceptional as Ethan? It'd be a waste not to go for it. How do you know he wants to sleep with me? The way he's looking at you, he's practically undressing you, honey. Trust me, I've had 18 relationships, I have more experience than you do. Ethan drove me back to the hotel. When we arrived downstairs, I unbuckled my seatbelt and thanked him. Thank you for driving me back tonight. Ethan turned his head to look at me. You're welcome. As I pushed the car door open to get out, I suddenly recalled the things Marcus had said that day. On a whim, I asked, want to come up for a cup of tea? Ethan kissed me in the elevator. Already tipsy, his dominant and passionate kisses left me breathless. There's a security camera. I panted, my cheeks flushed red, my legs were so weak I could barely stand, so I clung tightly to his waist. Ethan glanced at the camera, then shifted his angle, and kissed me again. As he swiped open the room door, he suddenly stopped me. Grace, if you regret this now, I can still stop. Regret what? I looked up at him, my fingers tracing his tie, pulling him closer. You've swollen my lips from kissing, and now you want to stop? Ethan suddenly laughed. He reached out, his thumb gently brushing my slightly swollen lips. Then even if you regret it later, it won't matter. Our first time, Ethan didn't even wait to get to the bedroom. The friction against the wall was a bit painful, and I couldn't help but whimper and bite him. Ethan, are you a beast? Don't you know how to be gentle with a woman? His hot palm cushioned my back. Finally, he gasped and kissed my neck. Grace, I can't hold back anymore. 5 minutes later, I understood what he meant. Ethan carried me back to the bedroom. I buried my face in the pillow and just kept laughing. Ethan, how long has it been since you've been with a woman? Ethan looked at me with a solemn expression. It's been quite a while. I've been busy with work all these years. I looked at him in surprise, gradually stopping my laughter. A moment later, tears suddenly welled up. I'm so sorry, Ethan, I shouldn't have done this to you. Grace, what are you saying? Perhaps it was because I was crying. Ethan seemed a little flustered. He clumsily tried to wipe away my tears, but they simply wouldn't stop flowing. I shouldn't have gotten involved with you. But you already have. Ethan leaned in, cupped my face, and looked at me steadily, his tone surprisingly serious. Grace, since you've gotten involved, you have to see it through. It was the 7th day of my stay in Hong. Ryan, a friend from Metropolis, suddenly sent me a WhatsApp message. Grace, when are you coming back to Metropolis? I don't have plans to return for now. Everyone misses you a lot. Chris's birthday is in a couple of days. Come back for the gathering. No, thank you. Could you tell him for me that I'll send a gift back? All right then, take care of yourself. In the private room, Ryan handed his phone to Marcus. Marcus, look, why don't you call Grace? She's sure to listen to you. Marcus stared coldly at the lines of text on the screen, then suddenly stubbed out his cigarette and stood up. She can come back or not, good riddance if she dies out there. Marcus, don't get angry. Grace must be hurting inside. Yeah, she even took off her ring this time. She's truly heartbroken. You and that woman went too far. We've already broken up, what more does she want? Marcus suddenly exploded. Listen up, none of you dare contact her again, even if she's dead. All right, we won't. Don't lose your temper. You were just in the hospital for stomach bleeding a few days ago. It's only when Grace was around that you didn't have stomach problems. She's only been gone for a few days, and you've already messed yourself up like this. With every word his friend spoke, Marcus's face grew darker. Finally, he grabbed his coat and slammed the door shut, leaving. Walking all the way downstairs, the cold wind hit his face, but Marcus still felt the rage in his chest wouldn't dissipate. That woman, Grace, really had guts. 7 days, and not a single call or text message from her. Is she playing for real? Marcus, with a cold expression, blacklisted Grace's number. You better not come back pleading me. Because this time, I absolutely won't be soft on you like before. When's call came in, I had just typed the last line and finalized the layout. I started writing a magazine column in college and had some success. So, after graduation, I simply made it my full-time job. Thanks to this talent, my income was quite good. My work was flexible, allowing me to travel freely with my laptop. So, after the breakup, I didn't need to stay in Metropolis feeling sad and heartbroken. Grace, what do you want to eat tonight? Ethan's voice came through Clural. Why, and the busyness of the afternoon seemed to instantly dissipate. Millions of brain cells are dead. I'm so tired. You decide. How about hot pot? I know a place that has amazing pork brain. You'll definitely like it. When I ate hot pot, I always liked to order a portion of pork brain. But later, Marcus said it looked disgusting, so I rarely touched it. Yet, I vaguely remembered that Ethan's diet was always very bland. Ethan, you don't have to accommodate me like this. I haven't been a picky eater for a long time. It's true, I suddenly wanted to eat it too. I remember in college, there was a local spicy stew place in campus that had very tender and fresh pork brain. Hearing him talk about it made me crave it too. That local spicy stew was indeed delicious. I ate it for 4 years in college and never got tired of it. All right then, let's have hot pot. I'll come pick you up now. Okay. Ethan took me to a popular hot pot restaurant that had been open for many years in Bay City. The storefront was old, and the place wasn't large, but business was exceptionally good. It was just that Ethan, impeccably dressed in a suit, seemed completely out of place in that environment. I watched him carefully wipe a chair for me with a tissue. Then, skillfully sterilizing the chopsticks and bowls with hot water and pouring me juice. A man of privilege like him, doing such trivial things, didn't seem awkward at all. Ethan, your ex-girlfriend trained you really well. I couldn't help but sigh with emotion. Unlike me, 7 years of on-again, off-again relationships. It was only at the beginning, when Marcus was pursuing me, that I experienced the feeling of being cared for and cherished. Later, during the year and a bit that Marcus and I lived together after college graduation, I was completely like a constant caretaker. Marcus had a sensitive stomach, so I learned to cook and make soup. Like a devoted wife, I took care of his diet and daily life. But now I finally understood. I loved him so much I lost myself, even forgetting the principle to love yourself first. How could I expect his affection to never fade? Ethan, while helping me blanch vegetables, looked up at me. Where did you hear I had an ex-girlfriend? I paused. In college, wasn't there always a girl with you? I thought you two were childhood friends, growing up together. You mean Emily? Ethan chuckled. Growing up together is true, but I never dated her. I didn't like her either. At most, I considered her a sister. So you haven't dated anyone these past few years? Ethan unhurriedly folded his shirt sleeves. I went on blind dates and had brief encounters, but we broke up if it wasn't a good fit. Oh, and there's been no one since? I lowered my gaze, thinking of his performance on our first night. It seemed his words were indeed many times more credible. Grace, I won't do that next time. Ethan's sudden remark left me confused. Won't do what? He turned his face, cleared his throat lightly, perhaps due to the steaming heat from the boiling hot pot, his ears flushed red. You'll know later. Ethan scooped some cooked pork brain into my bowl. Eat. It wasn't until he drove me back to the hotel, and after he carried me from the bathroom to the bed after I'd showered, that I suddenly understood what he had meant earlier. Only then, I felt like I was falling apart. Ethan. I couldn't help but glare at him, but my eyes were misty with tears, making me look even more alluring. The way I called his name, however, seemed to carry a playful whine, not truly sounding angry at all. Ethan lowered his head and gently kissed me. Grace, are you comfortable? I shook my head, refusing to answer him. He wasn't annoyed, just kissed me repeatedly and tenderly. I was so worn down by his tenderness that involuntary tears seeped from the corners of my eyes. Ethan. My nails raked down his lower back, my voice already thick with a difficult-to-bear sob. Grace, tell me now, are you comfortable? Ethan's eyes were reddened with suppressed desire, his arm muscles taut, and sweat beaded on his forehead and dripped down. I was finally so tormented that I sobbed softly, yes, I'm comfortable. As my last bit of consciousness slipped away, Ethan whispered very softly in my ear, Grace, if you're comfortable, then never leave me, okay? On's birthday night, the gift I bought in Bay City was delivered to him by a friend. Marcus sat on the sofa, smoking, the bottle of liquor in front of him nearly empty. The gift for Chris, Ethan and I had chosen together. It was a pair of vintage cufflinks from a luxury brand he really liked. These cufflinks are quite exquisite. Chris's smile was a little stiff. He glanced at Marcus's expression, not daring to say more, and quickly had his girlfriend put them away. Bring them here. Marcus suddenly spoke. Chris froze, but didn't dare say more, and quickly handed over the box. Marcus stared at the pair of cufflinks. The brand's logo was discreet, not obvious, but Marcus stared at it for a long while. Put them away, he closed the box and pushed it aside. Chris breathed a huge sigh of relief and quickly reached for them, but suddenly picked up the empty bottle in front of him and violently smashed it on the coffee table. Broken glass splattered everywhere, and a long gash instantly appeared on his hand. The private room immediately descended into chaos. What happened now? Why did you suddenly lose your temper, Marcus? It's a bad cut, the bleeding won't stop. We should get to the hospital. Marcus stood there, motionless, his face dark and full of malice. Grace never bought anything from this brand. His voice was very low, yet hoarse and heavy. Chris quickly smiled and said, What's the big deal? Grace probably just picked it out casually. After all, it's not like your birthday. Grace would think for half a year in advance about what to get you. Yeah, Marcus, your place in her heart, our group of broth heirs combined wouldn't even be a tenth of it. Everyone knows how much Grace cares about you, how much she treasures you. Marcus, however, scoffed, cares about me? The noisy crowd inexplicably quieted down, bit by bit. Marcus, how about I call Grace? Or let's just deal with the injury first. Chris suddenly, boldly, picked up his phone and snapped a photo of Marcus's lacerated hand. Then he sent it directly to Grace via WhatsApp. Marcus didn't stop him, perhaps because Chris's movements were too fast for him to react. The private room suddenly fell silent. After about 10 seconds, Chris's phone suddenly rang. Ha! I told you Grace loves and cares about you so much. Marcus, look, it's Grace calling, Chris said, brimming with joy. And everyone noticed that the malicious look on Marcus's face seemed to have softened slightly. Marcus, are you going to answer? Chris handed over the phone, but Marcus looked away without even glancing at it. Chris then said, delighted, I'll answer, hee hee. He intentionally put it on speaker, and when Grace's voice rang out, Marcus's lips instantly tightened. Chris, what happened? Are you hurt? Oh, no, it's not me, it's Marcus's hand. You have no idea how badly he's hurt, how scary it is, the blood just won't stop. Chris rambled on for a long time, but there was only silence on the other end of the line. Grace, are you listening? Or, maybe you should come back. Marcus won't go to the hospital, and he can't keep bleeding like this. Chris, Grace's voice was still as gentle and pleasant. Yes, go on, Grace, I'm listening. Chris replied, winking at Marcus. Don't tell me about his affairs anymore. The smile on Chris's face instantly vanished. Grace? Also, happy, Chris. Grace, hey, don't hang up, Grace. But the sound of the phone hanging up rang out with unmistakable clarity. Chris was completely stunned, holding his phone as if it were a hot potato. He truly wished he could knock himself out with a slap. For no reason at all, he had meddled in something that brought him nothing but trouble. The private room was silent. Marcus, however, looked calmly at everyone and smiled. Are you all speechless? No one dared to make a sound. Marcus laughed again. Why is everyone suddenly so quiet? Marcus. Don't get agitated, you're bleeding more. Marcus is, Grace's temper best. Sophia, who had been sitting quietly in the corner, suddenly spoke. Actually, I've wanted to say this for a long time. The things you did before were too hurtful. Grace is a young woman, women are most sensitive. Even if you don't like her anymore, you should have parted ways amicably. Who said I wanted to part ways amicably with her? Marcus laughed mockingly and chillingly. She's been with me for 7 years. Even a dog would become attached after that long. Sophia smiled very, very faintly. Then have you ever considered, how many 7 years does a girl have? What if Grace truly never comes back? Impossible. No one noticed the imperceptible tremor in Marcus's voice. What in this world is forever impossible? When a heart is completely broken, completely chilled, how hard is it to warm it up again? Marcus, don't do something you'll regret deeply later. After finished speaking, she didn't linger. She picked up her bag and walked out. Daniel, sitting not far away, watched her, his wife of 2 years, with an inscrutable gaze. Was she feeling sorry for Grace, standing up for her? Or was she looking at her own circumstances and accusing him, Daniel, of treating her, his wife, poorly? Daniel, aren't you going to see your wife out? Daniel curled his lips, lit a cigarette. Who's your wife? My wife is filming right now. She won't be out of the crew until next month. You're asking for trouble. His friend shook his head helplessly. Daniel remained non-committal. Sophia and Grace were different. Grace had no burden from her birth family and could earn her own money. If they truly broke up, her quality of life would just decline a bit. But had the bottomless pit of the Schwe family behind her, and a bedridden older brother. She dared not leave him. Even if she had all the courage in the world, she wouldn't dare. As soon as I hung up the phone, Ethan hugged me from behind. He rested his chin on my neck, rubbing gently, but said nothing. I couldn't help but smile. What's wrong? Grace, will you go back? Go back where? Back to Metropolis. No plans to return for now, but maybe in the future. After all, I haven't done anything shameful. Why shouldn't I be able to go back? My home is still there. Ethan fell silent again. It was then that I figured out his underlying meaning. Are you asking if I'll get back with Marcus? Will you? If I say absolutely not, would you believe me? Ethan lowered his gaze, his tall nose gently brushing my cheek. I want to believe you. Ethan, I have my pride and self-respect too. Then do you still have feelings for him? I thought seriously for a moment. To say it's completely gone wouldn't be realistic. After all, it's been so many years. Ethan suddenly bit me lightly. Don't say it, Grace. Let me finish. But to say this feeling is reluctance or unwillingness, that's not it either. I gently touched Ethan's face. Breaking up with him didn't cause me much pain or difficulty, so perhaps I stopped loving him a long time ago. Perhaps, from the moment he started becoming distracted in the relationship, I had already prepared for a breakup. I won't. I won't be distracted, I won't be fickle, I won't make you cry or feel sad. Ethan hugged me tighter and tighter, and finally, he kissed me. Grace, be with me. But I didn't return his kiss. In the end, I gently pushed him away. Ethan, I'm sorry. Why are you saying sorry? He looked down at me, his eyes slightly red. It's my own problem. I avoided his gaze. I don't want to be in a relationship right now. Then what have we been to each other these past few days? Ethan gripped my shoulders, his voice trembling. Grace, what do you take me for? I clenched my hands tightly, taking a deep breath. Let's just say we're in a mutually beneficial arrangement. If you're willing, we can continue this kind of relationship. If you meet someone you like, we can end it any time. What kind of relationship? A means to satisfy physical needs? You could see it that way. I refused to look up at him, afraid I'd start crying. Ethan, I'm truly sorry. If this arrangement makes you uncomfortable, I'll leave Bay City immediately. I swear I'll never bother you again. Grace. Ethan's eyes were completely bloodshot. He released his hands and slowly took a step back. He seemed to be smiling, but that smile was broken. Grace, you can't do this to me. Ethan. He turned, grabbed his overcoat, and walked out. I subconsciously took a step to follow, then stopped. Ethan walked all the way to the door, and just as his hand touched the doorknob, he suddenly looked back at me. He even offered a reassuring smile. I'm sorry, I just need to be alone for a bit. I nodded. Okay, I won't disturb you. Grace, give me some time. I'll give you my answer. Ethan left. I felt completely drained, sinking slowly onto the sofa. There was an indescribable ache in my heart. But I knew with even greater clarity that I couldn't, at this moment, throw myself wholeheartedly into loving someone again. To start a new relationship. I was truly scared. I was scared that in the end, we would grow to resent each other. I was scared that the look in that person's eyes would change from initial passion to indifference, and then to cold disgust. I didn't want to repeat the same mistakes. However, I shouldn't have gotten involved with Ethan. If I had known from the beginning that he liked me, then that night, I definitely wouldn't have let him drive me back to the hotel. It was already 3 in the morning. Ethan drove back to the hotel where Grace was staying. He got out of the car but didn't go inside. Instead, he leaned against the car body and lit a cigarette. Countless windows were lit up, but he couldn't find Grace's. Yet, knowing she was there, that she was in Bay City, in the same city as him. Knowing that if he walked inside, in 10 minutes, he could see her. That alone seemed joyful, satisfying. He actually figured it out in less than 2 days. He easily talked himself into feeling better. It was perfectly normal for Grace not to want to date again, having just ended a relationship. It was even more normal for her to be disappointed and resistant towards men, relationships, and even marriage. Perhaps he had been too eager, shouldn't have pressured her like that. If she felt that maintaining their current relationship would make her feel relaxed and comfortable, he wouldn't mind not having a proper title. What could be more painful than unfulfilled love? If anything, it would have been a year and a half ago, when he learned that Grace and Marcus had started living together. That was when he had truly decided to let go. That's why he tried blind dates, tried meeting new people, wanting to move on. But he tried and found it didn't work, so he decisively ended it. After that, no matter how much his family urged him, he never had such a thought again. If hadn't broken up and come to Bay City, if she hadn't invited him up that night, perhaps he would have been alone his entire life. Ethan stubbed out his cigarette, his gaze gradually becoming calm and resolute. But did come to Bay City. And that night, she did speak up. If he lost the girl he loved after she finally came to him, then, Ethan, you wouldn't deserve the happiness you desire. The night before I was due to leave Bay City, I met my best friend for drinks. How are things progressing with Ethan? My best friend scrutinized me from head to toe. TSK, looking at your radiant complexion and skin so soft it could be pinched. I can tell Ethan is taking good care of you. I shouldn't hold him back. I don't want to be in a relationship, and I don't want to get married. Grace, why are you punishing yourself for someone else's mistakes? What's more, it's not fair to Ethan. They say someone else reaped the benefits, and I agree with that. But there's no reason why a previous partner's actions punish the current one. Marcus was a jerk, but Ethan is a good man, someone you can trust. Why are you biased against Ethan because of Marcus? It's not that I'm biased against him, it's that I haven't gotten over this hurdle myself. You haven't gotten over that hurdle, you've just been psychologically manipulated by that manipulative jerk Marcus for 7 years. You think you don't deserve true love and happiness. I froze at her words. Was that it? The pain and entanglement brought by constantly worrying about what I might lose from on-again, off-again relationships. Because of an extreme lack of security, I became overly paranoid. So, subconsciously, I doubted everyone and the entire world. Convinced that I would never receive unwavering love. But why couldn't I receive sincere love? Those who betray true hearts will suffer severe consequences. But for those who have loved earnestly, destiny will bring her new opportunities. Honey, do you know how amazing you are? My best friend hugged me, gently swaying. So beautiful, such a perfect figure, able to earn money to support yourself in college, and even support me. Pretty, capable, and kind. If I were a man, I'd marry you even if it killed me. You deserve to be loved, Grace, to be cherished by the best man. Instead of wasting away with a man like Marcus. Trust me, honey, he will regret it. For the rest of his life, he'll never get over losing you. Now, call Ethan immediately. And cancel your flight. Don't think I don't know you're trying to run away again. I looked at my best friend, my eyes welled up, but... Tell me, will Ethan and I also reach this point? No. Why? Because I believe a man with enough self-control who prefers quality over quantity will never be so foolish as to lose the girl he loves once he has her. Do you think he's that pig, Marcus? I shook my head. He certainly wasn't Marcus. So, call him now, honey. You can't imagine how happy he'll be. I thought Ethan would be very happy. But I never imagined that a man in his late 20s, a group CEO who had taken over the family business and achieved remarkable success, would be as happy as a child when he received my call. My best friend smiled, looking at me. Grace, are you happy? I nodded. It seems. I am very happy. See? You're happy, Ethan's even happier, so isn't that settled? At this point, my best friend suddenly couldn't help but laugh. Now, just thinking about how unhappy Marcus will be in the future makes me incredibly happy. Not necessarily. He might already have new company. I smiled faintly. Iris, let's not talk about him anymore. At that moment, I could actually say such words with an undisturbed heart. As if that person truly had nothing to do with me anymore. Wen's car arrived downstairs. I had just walked out of the bar. He stood in the night breeze, opening his arms to me. I stopped and looked at him. Honestly, he was truly handsome. Every aspect of him was exactly to my taste. A man could like countless women at the same time, seeing two women without breaking up. Seamless transitions didn't even count as a flaw. So, it was naturally not wrong for me to date after a breakup. I walked towards him, and he strode towards me. Amidst the passing crowd, Ethan and I kissed as if no one else was around. His heart was pounding so fast. I touched the back of his neck. It was burning hot. Ethan, are you running a fever? Grace asked. His forehead rested against hers, his breath coming in soft pants. Grace, he murmured, his voice low, I don't know what comes over me. When I'm with you, it's just like this. Grace chuckled softly, rising on her tiptoes to kiss his chin. Maybe. If we do this a few more times, it'll be fine. Ethan's ears flushed red and grew hotter. He cupped Grace's face, his gaze burning as he looked at her. Grace. What am I to you now? She teased him deliberately. What do you think? Are we just friends with benefits, or are we boyfriend and girlfriend? Before she could answer, he buried his face in her neck, whispering, never mind. Don't answer. I don't want to know right now. Grace's hand gently circled his waist, pulling him closer. Are you sure you don't want to know? Boyfriend. Marcus's car stopped at an alleyway entrance. He got out and walked deep in the alley. A master lived there, whose ancestors had once been renowned silk weavers in Jiangnan. Now elderly, he had long since retired and no longer took clients, but had ways of persuading the old man. The wedding dress Grace had cut was sent to the master half a month ago. It was almost completely restored today. As he walked, he reflected that Chris had been right the other day. Every girl dreams of wearing a wedding dress to marry the person she loves. He and Grace had been together for 7 years, yet he had never once thought of proposing. He never even considered that Grace might have thought of proposing to him. He had indeed been a jerk these past few days. But those other women were merely fleeting whims. He had never been serious about any of them. Even who had caused Grace to break up with him and leave. She had only held his interest for 3 days. After spending time with her, he found her utterly uninteresting. His thoughts always returned to Grace. 7 years together, he admitted, he had grown tired, even bored. But some people are like colorless, odorless air, you don't realize how vital they are until they're gone. In the days Grace had been gone, he couldn't find the motivation for anything. Even when he was out with friends, his mind was always on her. Especially when he drank too much. If Grace were there, she would pretend to be annoyed and stop him. If she couldn't stop him, she would make him soup late at night, letting him rest his head on her lap while she massaged his temples. Her fingers were so soft, her quiet complaints and caring murmurs, so annoying at the time. Now, he missed them terribly. Marcus decided, when Grace returned this time, he would propose to her. He had known for a long time how much Grace wanted to marry him. If he gave her marriage, she would feel secure, and she would forgive him, wouldn't she? Master's craftsmanship was truly exceptional. The wedding dress had been restored almost perfectly, just like new. Marcus paid the fee, and as he left, his phone suddenly rang. He felt a strange nervousness until he saw Chris's name flash on the screen. His wildly beating heart slowly calmed. Marcus, I've been thinking, and there's something I need to tell you. What is it? Now don't get upset when you hear this. It might not be true, it could just be a rumor. What exactly is it? Well, it's about Grace. Never mind, I think it's probably just gossip. Chris, since when did you become so indecisive? What happened to Grace? Is she back in Metropolis? Marcus. Chris suddenly felt an inexpressible unease. How had things come to this? Of all the people Grace could be rumored with, why did it have to be Ethan? Ethan was the one Marcus had clashed with most over the years. Especially 2 years ago, when Marcus's company and Ethan's Changhung had fought tooth and nail over a major project. In the end, Ethan edged him out and secured the project, leaving Marcus defeated. That was the first time he had ever tasted defeat. Because of that, their already tense relationship became completely irreconcilable. Like I said, don't get angry. It's just what people are saying, there's no real proof. It's just that someone saw Grace in Bay City. Marcus's fingers tightened abruptly around his phone, but his voice remained calmly controlled. What happened to her in Bay City? She seems to be with Ethan. Of course, it could just be dinner, nothing more. I understand. Marcus. If there's nothing else, I'm hanging up. Marcus ended the call. He carried the large paper bag, the one holding the wedding dress Grace had bought. He walked step by step through the cold wind of Metropolis in early winter, all the way to the alleyway entrance, to his car. Marcus suddenly stopped. A faint, mocking smile slowly appeared on his handsome face. The next moment, the exquisite paper bag in his hand was thrown into the trash can without hesitation. In the second month after Grace left, Marcus had sent her a WhatsApp message. The message was successfully sent, but it vanished into thin air, unanswered. The message read, "The apartment is going to be sold. What should I do with your clothes?" Perhaps he had forgotten that Grace had left him a note, telling him to dispose of everything there as he wished. Or maybe he was just doing it on purpose, finding an excuse to message her. What might have been thinking was that he was offering Grace an olive branch. If she were smart, she would know to take the hint. He seemed to have a terrible temper, but in reality, he was quite easy to appease. Grace never replied. Naturally, the apartment was not sold. Grace's clothes and all her previous belongings remained untouched, as if she had never left. Marcus would often come here late at night after social engagements. Then he would lie on Grace's bed, suffering from insomnia until dawn. And in the third month after Grace left, it was still the same unchanging late night. As the hour hand neared 12, Marcus called Grace. Grace was a very traditional and well-behaved girl. Although her family was of average means, she never lacked for food or clothing, and her parents doted on her. But because she was beautiful since childhood, her elders were extremely strict with her. It wasn't until the autumn after she graduated from university that Grace began living with him. He still remembered that night. She was trembling all over with nervousness. Every inch of her skin glowed with a burning blush. She was stunningly beautiful, and beneath him, she seemed so fragile, pity-inducing. When it was all over, she cried intensely. Again and again, she told him, "Marcus, you mustn't ever bully me. You mustn't bully me in the future. You have to be good to me, you have to marry me. Marcus. We'll be together forever, won't we?" But that innocent, naive Grace, who believed she would be with the man she loved forever, he had lost her a long time ago. So long ago, he could barely recall what her expression was like when they last said goodbye. Did she nod with a smile, or did her eyes redden and tears fall? The phone rang for a while, and just when he thought she wouldn't answer, the call connected. In that instant, he actually wanted to say, "Grace, please come back." But when he opened his mouth, what came out was, "Grace, when you're done playing around, come back." His foolish, ridiculous words were interrupted by a man's soft laugh. That laugh was like hard, cold ice crashing down on him. Marcus felt as though his entire body was encased in ice, rendering him unable to move. "Mr. Marcus, when you're trying to win a girl back, you can't delay overnight. Otherwise, someone else will swoop in and snatch her up." "Ethan?" Marcus's eyes were bloodshot as he gritted out the name. "It's me, Ethan. Where's Grace? Let her answer the phone." Marcus's eyes seemed to be filled with blood, their redness intimidating. He gripped his phone tightly, his low roar trembling. "Ethan, if you dare take advantage of someone's vulnerability, she can't answer." Ethan lowered his head and gently kissed his girl. A single tear still clung to Grace's eyelashes, her mouth drawn in a pout. Though her eyes were closed, her face was etched with grievance. His heart softened beyond control. He kissed her eyelashes, sucking away that tear. "She's still out, and she's mad at me. I need to kiss her awake first." "Ethan." Marcus's voice cut off abruptly. Ethan disconnected the call and casually turned off his phone. His kiss landed on Grace's slightly swollen lips. Honey, wake up. Grace had often wondered what it would be like to see Marcus again. He came from a privileged background, brimming with arrogance. Their breakup had been peaceful, so if they ever truly ran into each other, he would either ignore her, or they would exchange a polite nod and greeting. After all, her parents and relatives were all in Metropolis. She and Marcus also shared some mutual friends. It was impossible for them to never cross paths again. But she never imagined that a man of privilege, who was always so condescending and adored by others, would ever be seen so disheveled and losing composure. And at that moment, Grace, feeling exceptionally good because she had slept well, was wearing a new nude pink cashmere dress and beautiful makeup. She looked like a radiant peach, plump and sweet. She walked out of the revolving door, laughing and holding onto Ethan's arm. And then, she saw Marcus getting out of his car. She froze, her steps halting. Ethan's warm fingers gently clasped hers. Marcus's shirt was a bit wrinkled, and he wasn't wearing a tie. His face showed an undeniable weariness, his brows deeply furrowed, and his eyes bloodshot. People bustled around them, and a nearby musical fountain played cheerful music. This scene was like a slow-motion shot in a movie. Only wasn't just a spectator, she was unexpectedly one of the main characters. Perhaps appearance at that moment was too unexpected. Ethan instinctively shielded her behind him. Yet's expression was utterly calm. Just as he had in the throes of their romance, he gently called her name, Grace. Grace stood motionless. The cheerful music still echoed in her ears. But for some reason, an unspeakable sadness welled up within her. Perhaps it was for the Grace who had heard those unbearable words that night. Perhaps it was for the Grace who had been abruptly told they were breaking up that day. And perhaps most of all, it was for the Grace who had foolishly loved for 7 years, yet had fully let go in just 7 days. Grace, I've come to take you back to Metropolis. Marcus didn't look at Ethan the entire time. His gaze, fixed on her face, was incredibly tender. Grace couldn't even recall how long it had been since he had looked at her like that before they broke up. Marcus stopped about a meter in front of her. Grace, let's go back and get married right away. From now on, we'll have a good life, okay? He spoke with such earnestness that Grace almost believed that Marcus, who had recently spoken of giving another woman a legitimate place, had merely been her imagination. But it was too late, Marcus. A broken heart can't be pieced back together. And a new heart, forged in hardship, now belongs to someone else. Grace gently shook her head. Marcus, please leave. Grace, I never touched Chloe. I broke up with her in less than 3 days. The wedding dress you bought, I've had Master repair it. And our matching rings, I've kept them safe. Grace, I even had an engagement ring custom made. I'm serious. Marcus's eyes grew redder, and his voice trembled slightly. He held out the exquisite diamond ring box proudly to her. The longing and hope in his eyes were incredibly cautious. Looking at him like this, Grace couldn't deny that she still felt a pang of sadness. But it was just a fleeting sadness, nothing more. Marcus, I already have a boyfriend. Grace tightly clasped Ethan's hand, moving from behind him to stand by his side, shoulder to shoulder. The color seemed to drain from Marcus's face in an instant. His gaze slowly drifted downward. Finally, it rested on Grace's and Ethan's intertwined fingers. On their middle fingers, they wore a pair of matching rings, just like she and Marcus had once worn. Grace, are you serious? Grace took a deep breath, turned her face to look at Ethan, and then nodded firmly. Yes, I am serious. Marcus suddenly let out a low laugh. Do you think he's serious about you? How much sincerity do you think he really has? 2 years ago, he fought me to the death over a project. Now he's pursuing you, Grace. Do you think there's any ulterior motive there? Does he dare to openly say that his pursuit of you has absolutely nothing to do with wanting to spite me, Marcus? Grace, you're still so naive. All men are alike. You were with me for 7 years, and so much happened between us. Do you think Ethan genuinely won't care at all? And do you really think he'll have a happy ending with you, growing old together? Aren't you afraid that being with him will just be another 7 years like the ones you spent with me? The cheerful music had stopped at some point. Marcus's voice also ceased. Grace's ears were met with a momentary silence. Then came the faint sound of something gently breaking. And after that sound, there was an immense sense of ease and relief. See, she didn't even have that last bit of sadness left. It was just a pity why people always had to have regrets in life. Before today, Grace had no regrets about loving Marcus. For better or worse, it was all part of her experience. But at this moment, she couldn't help but feel profound regret. Why had it taken 7 years for her to realize that Marcus, deep down, had never truly respected her? Ethan, his eyes full of tenderness, pulled her into his embrace. Grace's face was a little pale, but she still smiled and shook her head at him. "I'm fine, Ethan. Go on, honey, get in the car. I'll handle things here. I want to stay with you." She gripped his hand, refusing to let go. Ethan looked at her steadily for a moment, then suddenly lowered his head and kissed her fiercely. "Grace, Ethan, have always acted with a clear conscience and have never regretted my decisions. But right now, at this very moment, I truly regret not having snatched you away from him sooner. What right do you have to compete with me? Ethan, what kind of man are you, taking advantage of someone's vulnerability? Marcus, you are utterly unworthy of Grace's 7 years of affection and love for you." Perhaps that remark completely enraged Marcus. He had never lost control like this before. He spoke recklessly. "And what about you, Ethan? You're going after a woman who was with me for 7 years. What nerve do you have to stand here and spout such nonsense in front of me? What do you even like about her? Do you genuinely like Grace, or do you just like Grace, Marcus's woman?" Ethan landed a heavy punch on Marcus's face, but was not one to take a hit without retaliating. They exchanged blows, and soon both had cuts and bruises on their faces. Security guards rushed over and finally managed to separate them. Yet the two men still glared furiously at each other, refusing to give an inch. "Can you two stop?" Grace was both angry and anxious, her voice tinged with a whimper. Marcus's face was ashen. "Grace, you saw it yourself, Ethan threw the first punch. This isn't over between him and me today." "Yes, he threw the first punch, Mr. Marcus. I'll make him apologize to you. Subsequent to this, whatever resolution you prefer, we will cooperate." "Grace, he was the one who was offensive first." Ethan immediately became agitated. Grace gently pressed Ethan's hand and spoke calmly again. "Mr. Marcus, I'll apologize on Ethan's behalf first." "Grace, you're just going to protect him like that?" Marcus slowly took a step forward. "He hit me first, Grace. So, how would you like to resolve this?" "Grace, I'm injured." Marcus pointed to his face. "Do you see the injury here? It really hurts." Grace glanced at it and said calmly, "Then I'll call an ambulance for you. We'll cover all the costs." "Grace, you know that's not what I want." Marcus tried to pull her, but she sidestepped him. "Grace." All the forced composure on Marcus's face crumbled. His expression as he looked at her was filled with sorrow. But deep down, Grace truly felt no ripple of emotion anymore. Ethan suddenly hissed in pain. "Grace, look, am I going to be disfigured?" Grace quickly turned around. The man in front of her had a split lip and a swollen area beneath his eye. Blood was smeared on his jaw, and he looked quite intimidating. She took out a tissue to wipe him. "It hurts." "Grace, gently, gently." Ethan exaggeratedly grimaced. "Serves you right," she quietly chided him, yet still tenderly softened her touch. "You need stitches at the hospital. Then you'll come with me." "I'm afraid of needles." Grace couldn't help but glare at him, but she still nodded. Ethan immediately pulled her into a hug. "I also need you to kiss me. It hurts like crazy here." Grace slowly rose on her tiptoes and lightly kissed his injury. Marcus said nothing more. The setting sun quietly stretched his silhouette. Perhaps it was the moment Grace wiped the blood from Ethan's face. Perhaps it was when Grace coaxed Ethan and kissed him that he finally realized with painful clarity that Grace truly no longer loved him. Sophia's question that day had, surprisingly, come true. Grace would not return to him. He had thought he was the one who could easily let go of 7 years of affection. He had thought he was the one who held the upper hand in this relationship. He had thought he would always be in control. But only at this moment did he understand. He, Marcus, was the one who couldn't let go. Grace was the string holding his kite. With the string broken, the kite lost its direction and could never find its way home again. Grace watched Marcus turn and walk towards his car, watching his lonely figure disappear. The twilight sun was suddenly swallowed by the horizon. The sky turned a soft rose blue. Marcus's car gradually drove away. Grace Faye. LT as though she saw the 7 years of her life, from 17 to 24, vanishing with that car as it sped into the distance, leaving no trace. She knew that from this day forward, the name Marcus would be like any other common, ordinary name in the world. She wouldn't deliberately forget it, but she would never actively recall it either. Grace. Ethan gently pulled her into his embrace. She turned, looked up at him, and smiled faintly. Let's go to the hospital. The night Ethan proposed, he drank a lot, holding Grace and telling her many, many things. But what Grace remembered seemed to be only the two simplest sentences. Grace, we will never have a 7 years like that. Grace, we will never break up. Everyone who makes a vow truly believes it at that moment. Later, when they break that vow, they wonder how anyone could have believed such a thing. But was willing to believe Ethan. In fact, she was believing in herself. Believing she deserved to be loved, believing that true sincerity would, just this once, not be betrayed. On the day Grace and Ethan got engaged, she received a gift sent from Metropolis. It was the wedding dress she had once bought, which Marcus had had master repair. Inside the box, there was also a card. The handwriting on it was Marcus's. He had written, Grace, I will always wait for you. Ethan, standing beside her, also saw the card. He smiled confidently and kissed her cheek firmly. Too bad for him, I won't give him the chance. But that night, the wedding dress mysteriously disappeared, and no longer bothered herself with such trivial matters. In the 3rd year of Grace's and Ethan's marriage, they had their daughter, Luna. Soon after their daughter's birth, Marcus sent many valuable gifts. Grace asked Ethan for his opinion. He was still confident, but quite ungenerous. Our daughter doesn't need these things. Let's donate them to a charity organization. Tisk, can you believe him? Old enough to settle down but still single. Always fixated on other people's families, masochistic much? Grace couldn't help but smile, pressing her lips together. Why care what others do? Ethan somehow became delighted. In front of the entire household staff and nannies, he just picked her up and twirled her around. Grace, what you just said was so sweet. Can you say it again? What did I say? Hey, put me down first, I'm getting dizzy. Ethan wouldn't let go. He sat down, holding her in his arms, and kissed her repeatedly. Just that line you said, why care what others do? Grace found it amusing, yet also felt a hint of unspeakable tenderness. Her best friend had once secretly told her that the 2 years after Grace graduated from college were Ethan's worst. But after they got together, he never mentioned it to her, nor had he ever shown a hint of negative emotion in front of her. Why care what others do? The most important thing is for us to live our own lives well. After saying that to his satisfaction, she reached up and looped her arms around his neck. She kissed his ears flushed red and whispered softly in his ear, Honey, our daughter is 2 months old. Let's go to bed early tonight. Thank you for watching today's story. If you enjoyed this video, please like and share it with your friends. We look forward to hearing your thoughts in the comments section. Feel free to share your views, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more exciting stories. See you next time.